Okay, wake him up. Well, hello there, Sleeping Beauty. How are you feeling this morning? Wait, don't tell me. Let me guess. Confused? Afraid? Maybe all of the above? It's understandable. Being woken up in a dark basement isn't exactly how you plan to start your morning now, is it? But hey, look at the bright side. You don't have to worry about taking a shower or anything. Who am I? Oh, they forgot to take your blindfold off. That explains your stupid question. I'll just take care of that. There. Now do you recognize me? Don't play games with me. I can tell when you're lying, and lying will only lead to dying. Is that clear, Detective? Good. I'm glad we understand each other. So please, tell me, Detective. Doesn't it feel good knowing you've reached the prime suspect in your investigation? All those late nights at the office, ordering takeout and following leads on the child must have finally paid off. Am I right? That was a rhetorical question. You're just as clueless as when you took up this case from the money-holing tycoon. Oh, I know all about the case and all the hard work you've been doing to try and find Daddy's little boy. But don't worry, the boy is safe with me. I'm honestly surprised. It's normally hard for New York's finest to keep on top of all their cases. But you followed all the leads, analyzed every clue, and investigated on unknowing you were the one truly under investigation. Go ahead, struggle all you want. You're not getting out of that chair, and even if you did, it's not like you'd get far. You see that guy in the corner by the door? You see him? Yeah, that's my friend Frankie. Now, Frankie is a man of few words. He's the kind of guy who prefers his actions to speak for him, and his actions really make an impact on the people he meets. So, unless you want your face caved in, I suggest you calm down and do as you're told. All right, Detective? Okay. Now that it seems like you have some vague idea of your situation, I'm sure you can figure out the ways this can end for you. But, just like your work on this case, you're dead wrong about all of them. That's right. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to imprison you. I won't even introduce you to Frankie, as sad as that makes him. No, Detective, if you just listen to me and cooperate, you'll not only be able to walk out unscathed, you'll walk out rich and on your way to fame, but only if you cooperate. So, what do you say, Detective? Good. I knew somewhere inside you there was a trace of a brain. Well, let's start from the beginning, shall we? About a decade ago, I was slowly making my way up the ranks of the underworld. Bit by bit, I outgrew my career of loan sharking and drug dealing in favor of a job that would gain me the respect and reputation I deserve. I'm talking about being a hitman, a murder for hire, someone who helped make sure your boys in blue stayed busy. I got so good at my job that the crime bosses thought I was ready to have a chapter of my own. I would... Oh, you know this. Silly me. I forgot you detectives have everyone on file. I'm so sorry for wasting your time. After all, you're not getting any younger. And you won't be getting any older if you interrupt me again. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, the bosses set me up in the South Bronx with the crew. I loved everyone on my crew, but there's one who stood up from the rest. Tommy Russo. Oh, that name sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yes, the same wealthy goody two-shoes that hired you to find his son is the same bum who I dug out the gutter. I bet that wasn't part of your police records. After all, who'd suspect such a generous public servant of being part of the mob? What a joke. Who do you think took him in? brought him up? Who do you think trusted him enough to make him second in command? That's right, me. From the very beginning, I saw something in him that no other man in my crew had. It was a sense of perseverance, and yet he was still humble. He was always the one I can count on, no matter what I asked. If I had a high-risk job, he'd do it, no questions asked. If I needed help managing numbers, he'd stay all night until the books were balanced. He was the only one who anyone in the gang could turn to and expect results. I guess that was his plan all along, and I fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. As you can probably tell by my personality, I'm not one who will allow someone to get close. It's a trait that's needed if you're going to survive in this business. You can't completely trust anyone. But with Tommy, I'd do anything for him. He always knew what to say to me and how to say it. He knew me like the back of his hand. Which is why when he asked for things like a bigger cut or a place to stay, I'd hand it over to him without a second thought. He filled my head with pretty little lies, and I filled his pocket with pretty pennies and paper. Why did I do it? Because I loved him. Little did I know, I was in love with a snake. One day, my bookman comes in and shows me that our money was being embezzled. Tommy told me he would take care of it and went out to investigate everyone, or so I thought. I started thinking of where the money had gone before I remembered Tommy, working the books so many nights. At first, I didn't want to believe it. Tommy wasn't capable of doing this, not to the crew, and definitely not to me. So a few others and I went to go confront him. But by the time we found him, he'd already convinced the gang it was me who embezzled the cash. At that moment, my heart shattered. The only person I trusted truly and loved had no turn on me. Everyone started shooting. I took 3 slugs to the chest while he got 1 in the leg. Anyway, we drove off as the cops came to the scene. It was all over the news. The paper boy shouted it out on every corner. Extra, extra, read all about it. Gang slinging rock south side, no sign of the ringleader. Extra, extra. From my sources, only one witness came forward, saying that she saw someone limp away from the scene and vanish into the night. I bet you can take a wild guess who that was who limped away. Yep, you guessed it. Fortunately for me, there wasn't any other survivors to spread the lies that I was embezzling from the bosses. But regardless, my kingdom came crashing down along with my heart. I began to rebuild my crew while I recovered. We had to start doing dirty work again to rebuild our reputation. I even took up being a hitman when I was still recovering. But all the while, Tommy never left my mind. I searched for him constantly, a thirst for vengeance pushing me forward. I later came out to find he got married to some cheap pinup model. They had a kid, and all 3 of them were living lavishly off the life and money he's stolen from me. I was going to kill him right then and there, but as I got ready, I began to think. He didn't deserve a quick death. No, he needed to know how much of a mistake he made crossing me and taking advantage of my crew. I was going to make him suffer like he made me suffer. Oh no, it's not insane. It's justice for his actions. Now that you heard the story, let's cut to the chase on why I need you. I have Tommy's boy, and yes, he's safe and sound under my care. And before you say anything, yes, here, fast asleep. I'll take you to him after we discuss the plan. Now that I elaborated on Tommy's past, let's look over one of your past cases that really stuck with you. Remember this man? Oh, your eyes widened. That's right. It's the perp that got away. You pressed charges. A guilty verdict was all but certain. But his payoff really made the judge think different about his case. I can imagine after what he did, you must have flipped your lid when the judge let him walk. Now, what if I told you I have that perp right here, right now? Okay, I'll prove it. Frankie, bring him in. That's him, isn't it? Okay, good. That's all, Frankie. You can put him to bed. Now we both have someone the other person wants. What if we trade criminal for criminal? Well, here's how I see it. All the money your friend could use to beat the rap? Well, all of it was stolen from his bank account. I wonder who could have done that. All of it is right here in this suitcase. Go ahead, take a look. It's all real and unmarked, so it can't be traced not to you or me. Now, seeing as he recently broke someone in his shoes would try to get the money any way they could, say like holding a kid for ransom. Now, if you were to give to Tommy a call to say you found his kid, why would he be in such a rush to meet you that he may end up in an accident while driving over the river? Believe me, I've faked people's death before. His will be no problem. Meanwhile, Frankie's gonna be blindfolding all three of you and drive you to this address. When you get there, call the police and tell them you have the kid and the perp in custody. By tomorrow morning, your name will be on the front page of every newspaper across the country. Can you imagine all the fame, the promotions, the new cases flowing in? You'll be a hero. And your little perp will rot in jail for a long, long time. Oh, the boy's in good hands. It's not like his dad was ever there for him. And besides, a boy with a mother like his won't be single for long. That's just a fact for a pretty rich widow. So, detective, what do you say? Do we have a deal? Really? Good to know you couldn't refuse this offer. Frankie, untie him. After he makes his phone call, take him to the car. Here's the money, detective. The child is waiting in the car, and your perp will be with you shortly. It would also be in your best interest not to tell anyone about our little meeting, unless you want free swimming lessons with the cement kickboard. But you strike me as a good swimmer. Don't prove me wrong. Okay then, goodbye, detective. I have to get ready to meet up with an old friend. Oh, detective, I didn't give you a chance to answer my question from the beginning of our interrogation. Doesn't it feel good knowing you've reached the prime suspect in your investigation?